Hello everyone. On behalf of Big, first of all, thank you so much for taking your time and attending this webinar with us. And welcome to the first installment of 101 of email and WhatsApp deliverability, where we dive into all the tips and tricks that we can implement to better improve your deliverability. I'm your host, Nishant, and I'm the product marketer here at Big. And joining us is Rishabh Srivastava, who is the product manager at Big, and he's also the expert when it comes to email and WhatsApp. So, Rishabh, over to you. If you have any questions during this webinar, please feel free to drop them in the chat section. And also we will have a Q&A at the end of the webinar as well. So we can have an open discussion to, all questions that you might have. Over to you, Rishabh.
Thanks, Nishant. Welcome to this session of email deliverability, where we will dive into the factors that affect the email deliverability and what are the things that we should look for. So yeah, go to next slide. So when we say email deliverability, what do we actually mean? So Mailgun did the survey and asked its senders what does email deliverability mean to them, and not very surprisingly, 53% people wrote delivery rate. Now, delivery rate just tells you that your email was delivered to the customer's inbox. Where was it delivered? We do not know. It may have happened that it might have also got delivered in the spam area of the user. So, when we are doing email marketing, it is important to understand email deliverability in terms of how the emails are getting placed in the recipient's mail server. Good email deliverability allows your email to land in your recipient's main inbox, such as your tabbed inbox, such as like Google's promotion tab. Deliverability is best measured through events that indicate real human engagement, like opens, clicks, replies, forwards, or conversations. So, the more people are interacting with your email, better your deliverability is, right? And we'll now see the factors that affect email deliverability. So the first is feedback loop. So feedback loop includes read rates, bounces, spam, unsubscribes, domain reputation, IP reputation, and throttling. Then there is segmentation. So the profiles that you send to and how you engage with your sends. And then there is the section of email setup, which includes compliance and authentication. And then there is content that you're sending to your users. So whether your content has the proper image to text ratio, it's relevant, etc. So in this session, we will be primarily focusing on feedback loop and segmentation, right? Okay. So when we say feedback loop, it generally consists of monitoring your read rate, click rate, your bounces, your spam rates, your unsubscribes, your domain and IP reputation, and then to check if there is a throttling involved as well. Okay. And why monitoring feedback loop matters. So mailbox providers essentially give these signals to you, and the more you proactively monitor these signals, the better it helps you before any permanent issue arises. Now, let's say your read rate has been good for a while, and then suddenly it starts declining. When it declines on one campaign, it is fine. But when it has declined on 3 campaigns, then there is a pattern established, and you need to take immediate steps to troubleshoot the declining read rate. It could be because of increased bounce, spam, unsubscribe, or maybe a poor segmentation strategy. We do not know. But what is important is, as soon as you see a trend that there is a decline in your read rate, you actively start troubleshooting and go back in time and see what actually changed. Was it like a new segment that you started trying, which caused a spike in bounce, and hence that caused a lower read rate? So that these are the signals that you should detect and actively involve in your campaign. While we are sending campaigns as marketeers, we obviously focus on the business results, which I understand. But in email, along with the business results, we also need to focus on matrices such as these, because these matrices are the prerequisites in order to achieve a good deliverability rate in email. There have been certain rules that have been laid down by the mailbox providers like Google, Yahoo, and Microsoft, and we need to strictly follow them. So email is a very, very heavily regulated channel, and if we fail to identify this signals in time, this leads to a drop in your sender reputation, and hence this also leads to a loss of business results going forward. So that is the trend that we have seen. So it's very important that we monitor proactively. Go to the next slide. Yeah. Like I said, again, read and clicks are important indicators of human engagement. It basically is telling the mailbox providers that this is a sender whose reputation is intact and people are engaging with it. So they will allow more emails from your side to be placed in the primary or the secondary inboxes of the users. Go ahead. Okay. Like I was saying, if you have like three campaigns which have failed, or which have had a declining read rate, we in our roadmap at BIC we will be providing you with an warning sign and the steps to fix it. You will come to know when your last three campaigns have had a declining read rate and what are the steps that you can take. So it will be released in a week or so. So stay tuned for it. You can go ahead. Yeah. Go to the next slide. Okay. Now coming to bounces. So bounce is one of the most critical signal when it comes to the feedback that MVPs provide us, Google, Yahoo, or Microsoft, and bounces must be taken very seriously. Now, there are primarily two kinds of bounces, and first let me define what bounce is. So bounce is basically failures. So a temporary failure is known as a soft bounce. A permanent failure is known as a hard bounce. Okay. Examples of a hard bounce could be, let's say, an invalid email address or a mailbox being permanently unavailable. And on soft bounce, it could be, mailbox being temporarily unavailable, or the recipient's inbox is full, or the message is too old. When we say message is too old, it means that the ESP tried sending the message multiple times, but it couldn't deliver, and hence it was marked as too old, right? So move to the next slide. Right. So what happens is just circling back on these bounce. So when you see an increased bounce rate, how can you troubleshoot bounce? Firstly, we should, like I said, we should go back in time and see what is causing the problem. Like, is it happening in a particular segment? Did the segment come from a giveaway contest, or where users are just basically entering their emails without double opt-in? If it is repeated, we should consider removing failed greater than 3 times in the last 60 days. So this is a bounce segment strategy that we create, that we advise our brands, that whenever you see a high increase in bounce rate, you subsequently delete those segments which where the failed was greater than 3. And you should also clean your list. We are also rolling out a feature called never engage segment. So in never engage segment, what will happen is it will skip emails to people who have previously not engaged with you in the last 6 months. So whenever you see a increase in this negative trends, you start cleaning your list and you start sending to more engaged and identifying where the issue came from, where did the bounce originate from. So that is the key in understanding bounce and then troubleshooting it. Go ahead. Okay. An important update with respect to BIC's roadmap that we will be launching in a week or two is we are introducing suppressions list, wherein, let's say, if an email has bounced more than 7 times, you won't be able to send to that email again. It is necessary, obviously, to protect your sender reputation. Why? Because like I said, sending to a email which has hard bounced, mailbox providers penalize you for that. And again, if you're repeatedly sending to emails that are soft bouncing, mailbox providers will again heavily penalize you for that. So 7 is the industry standard which has been used. Once an email has soft bounce 7 times, you do not want to engage with them again, and we put them in something called in suppression or a quarantine list. So this is a feature that is also coming in next week, and we'll let you know once it is live. Go to the next slide. Right. The next most important thing is spam rate. So spam rate, as you know, when the user marked your email as spam. So spam is industry-wide, it is expected that your spam rate should be less than 0.1%. It is advised that it is always kept below 0.3%. Spam is obviously an indication that one of the primary indication that your spam rate is high is when your content is not correct. So if your content is not relevant and it has some spammy words, that is when users start marking your emails as spam. Or there could be other reasons where other reasons, such as you are not offering them an option to unsubscribe. So there are two options to unsubscribe. Where one is where you can put in the unsubscribe in the footer and also next to the header. So if the user is finding it is hard to unsubscribe, he'll probably mark it as spam. And that's why we recommend our brands to always include an unsubscribe link in their emails. So that is the general industry practice that is also being followed. Okay. And also, if you keep sending frequently to the same set of customers again and again, it might happen that they get annoyed and overwhelmed, and they can, if they can't easily unsubscribe, they will obviously choose the spam option. So as you can see, anything between 0.1 to 0.3 is the danger zone, and anything less than 0.1 is what is advised and is the industry standard. So spam, as you can see, is very, very strict. And one of the most important metrics, I think bounce and spam together form the most important metrics that one should look for if their read rate is declining or it is constantly low. And this is where most of the troubleshooting happens in the industry. Okay. Yeah. Now coming to unsubscribe. So unsubscribe, as you know, is another metric which is monitored by MVPs like Google and Yahoo, and they give us these signals. So again, you have to follow the industry standard. An unsubscribe rate of, let's say, below 0.5% is considered good, and any unsubscribe rate greater than 1 or 1.4% is generally considered to be very dangerous and can lead to suspensions of your domain and account. There are ESPs like Mailgun and Infobip which have this policy that if you breach their threshold, you will be banned, and then that takes a lot of time to revoke those bans. So we should be careful in sending a lot of unnecessary emails to people who have, let's say, not consented. Again, frequency capping comes into play with respect to unsubscribes as well. If you're kind of sending mails to people too frequently, that also leads to unsubscribe. Go to the next slide. So some of the ways listed down, again, you can, there's a lot more depth to it, but just covering it at the surface level. So you should obviously clean your list very regularly. You should, cap your sending frequency. You should segment your audience for relevant and personalized content, and ensure, obviously, like we saw with spam, you should ensure that your content aligns with the subject line. So unsubscribe along with spam bounce, these three are termed as negative engagement metrics, and this should be monitored in addition to your read and click rates. Move to the next slide. Now coming to the domain reputation and IP. Now domain and IP are basically they together help shape your sender reputation, and your domain reputation is made up of a lot of signals, of which Google and Yahoo tell us that your read rate and your negative rates, they in an aggregated way tell the MVPs what your sending behavior is. With respect to domain reputation, we must be very careful, and we must be monitoring it very proactively. The reason being, once your domain reputation falls to low or bad, you have been already certified as a bad sender with, let's say, Google or Yahoo or Microsoft. Now, what happens is once you have been flagged as a bad sender, it takes somewhere around at least 2 to 4 weeks in order for your reputation to recover. So it is very, very important that you control these signals before your domain reputation falls to low or bad. Now, like I said, the precursor to your domain reputation falling low or bad is basically all your negative matrices. So if you understand the hierarchy, if you are monitoring your read rate and subsequently if you are monitoring your bounce, spam, and unsubscribe rate, your domain reputation will never fall to low or bad. So this is where we need to be very careful, and this is where we need to be, making sure that domain reputation doesn't fall to low and medium. Now, IP reputation is also very important. And another factor that is responsible for your sending behavior. On a shared IP, obviously, your sending it does not matter that much, because your sending reputation is also determined by other sending behavior. But in dedicated IP, when you're on a dedicated IP, your sending behavior is your own responsibility, and it also involves a mandatory warm up. So IP reputation is something that can be controlled to an extent, but a lot of times it is the responsibility of the ESPs, which are Mailgun and Infobip, which handle that. Okay. As for BIC, in the roadmap of BIC, we are now introducing Postmaster's integration within the dashboard so that you get proactive monitoring and alerts whenever your domain reputation falls to low or bad. And we are also nudging you whenever you are sending your campaign. If your domain reputation is low or bad, what should you do? So we have introduced something called a recovery mode, which will take care of a lot of things, segmentation wise, or creating those bounce segment, or setting the frequency capping to 1. This has been planned in our sprint and will be released by at least by 2-3 weeks. That is what we plan to do. Yeah, do we want to take any questions? Any questions so far? All right. Okay. So moving on. So next we can come to throttling. Now what happens is throttling is another indication by the MVPs that your sending behavior is not correct. Throttling can happen due to a lot of reasons, but primarily if your bounce rate is too high, or your if your send speed is too high, or your volume is too high, then you get throttled. So there are specific error codes that MVPs share with us, uh, which tells us that you are being throttled. And throttling, like I said, is not a good indicator. It already means that your sending reputation is falling. Now, how can we control throttling? So throttling can be controlled by introducing something called a request per minute. So what request per minute means is basically the number of emails that you're sending per minute, the speed. And it is generally advised to have a sending speed of 1,000 when you are, let's say, recovering your reputation, or when your bounce rate and other negative factors are too high. So that is the general industry standard that we see with when it comes to RPM. Another pattern which mailbox providers flag is your inconsistent volume spikes. So for example, if you are sending 10,000 this week and suddenly in the next week you are sending 50,000, that is an example of an inconsistent volume spike. Mailbox providers will definitely come to you saying, how did you get that extra 40K emails in your list? And it is an indication to the MVPs that you're kind of buying your list, and this increase in your volume is sort of unnatural, because it does it evaluates that any business won't be able to get maybe like 400% of its customer base increase in just 1 week. So that is how it evaluates. Okay. And the last point is, which is often generally followed but sometimes overlooked, is ensuring that your warm up is successful. So once your warm up is successful, then your MVPs know that, okay, this is a client whose sending behavior is established. who has a very consistent volume sending pattern, and it has not been indulging in spammy behavior. So if your warm up is essentially to establish your sending behavior, and that also helps in avoiding situations like throttling, which come later in your email life cycle. Go to the next. Yeah. Now moving on. So segmentation is another aspect of email marketing that needs to be looked at very seriously. And how we segment also determines how our read rates and how our click rates follow. So one of the best practices that everyone follows is focusing on your most engaged segment. Now, what I mean by most engaged segment is basically people who have clicked, read, maybe abandoned a cart, or maybe purchased your product in the last X months, where X should always be less than 6. Now, why is it so that this 6 is a threshold that is being kept in the industry? It's because it is believed that after every 6 months, the consent that was given and the mails that were given needs to be recycled. So that is why 6 is an industry standard that is followed in email marketing. Now, when we say most engaged, so if you create segments like, let's say, read 4 times in the last 1 month, or clicked, let's say, 2 times or 1 time in the last 1 month, these segments are bound to have very good click rates and very good read rates. We have seen this with a lot of our brands, and that is what we advise to the general audience here, that if you are sending to segments which have engaged, you will definitely get a higher read rate or a click rate. Another mistake which people do is they send to all subscribers. Now, all subscribers is obviously a very poor segmenting strategy, wherein anyone and everyone's email that you have, you just do a blast of your campaign there. That is not the right strategy. You need to understand which customers are likely to engage and which are likely to skip your mail. And like I said, these metrics are looked after by your MVPs, and they will be they will be calculated in your domain reputation. When we talk about, let's say, domain recovery, now like I said, we are introducing this recovery mode. So there we obviously advise our clients to send to most engaged segment, like I said, and we also tell clients to not use never engaged segment. Never engaged is again customers who have not engaged with you in the last 6 months. And it also makes sense to identify the high bounce and low engagement segment. If you do not have a never engaged segment, then do identify high bounce segments and low engaged segments, and then move them out of your segmentation strategy or your campaign, and then send it. So that is these are some of the guidelines that we have for segmentation. Move to the next. Okay. In industry, generally there is an rule that is followed. So if you already have a good reputation, that is your domain reputation is medium, or it is, let's say, high, then you can send to 70% times to the most engaged customers, and 30% of the times you can send to customers who are, let's say, who have not engaged with you recently, or maybe who you think can engage, but let's say have been dormant for like more than 6 months. So that is the rule that is followed in industry. And like I said, you should refresh your list every 6 months. And again, with email in India, as I understand, double opt-in may not be possible, but we should try and introduce double opt-in wherever possible. What I mean by double opt-in is you basically try and get the consent of the confirmation email on the user's email before you're actively including that email in your segment. So what we have normally seen is when you have widgets like spin the wheel, or let's say when you have a giveaway contest, people will just write any fake mail to claim the prize or the offer that they are looking for. So that is the reason why double opt-in becomes very important. One of the other techniques that user also do is that brands outside of India also do is they do have sunsetting policy. That is, they do send a confirmation email after every 2 or 6 months, asking the users if they are still interested or they still have their consent to send mail. So that is also one of the policies that people have in order to get their segment strategy correct and get their campaign rates correct. Right. Yeah. All right. So we have come to the end. Now we are open to questions. So I think I've covered a lot of points in this time. Feel free to ask any doubts or any questions that you have on any of the points, and we will be happy to answer.
We have a question from Aditi. What about WhatsApp? Are you covering that as well? So yes, we will be covering WhatsApp as well, with terms of WhatsApp deliverability in the upcoming series of webinars. So please stay tuned for that. If you do have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat box, or you can also raise your hand and I will unmute so that you can ask a question right here. We have a question that is from Deepesh. It says, what is the ideal number of contacts to be?
Yeah. Hi, Deepesh. So, on the number of contacts, it varies platform to platform. But what we generally understand is that you should start with your most engaged customers, like read or clicked read could be 4 or 5 times in a month in the last 1 month, and click maybe 1 or 2 times in the last 1 month. So normally the count would go something like, let's say 500. Then let's say the next day it could be 800. Then let's say it could be 1,000, then 1,200, then 1,800, and so on. So it is like, yeah. So it is like you are expected to slowly increase your volume, and you need to make permutation combination of your read count and your window of engagement. So 1 month can be then slowly increased to 2 months, then 3 months, and the read count can be slowly decreased from, let's say, 5 to 4, 4 to 3, and so on. So once you do all this permutation and combination, you will get your count accordingly. What we should make sure is that there is never more than a 30% increase, or maybe more than a 50% increase in your email count day on day. So let's say if you're sending 500, then you should probably keep it below 750 in the next. So if there's a gradual increase, and if the increase is, let's say, 20 to 30%, your warm-up plan will be successful. And you should also very actively monitor the matrices as you are sending your warm-up plan. So let's say on your day 1 you received good read rate, day 2, day 3 you received good read rate. Now on day 4, let's say it's tumbled down. So if it's stumbled down on day 4, then we should take a step back and maybe just revert what we did on day 3 or day 2. So that is the dynamic strategy that we should follow when in case of email warm up.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question, Dipesh.
Yeah. So the next question, it looks like a common question from Shimoni and Diksha as well. That is, domain reputation has been in lower end for a while. We've tried multiple strategies from segmentation to the warm-up plan. However, it hasn't improved much since. Anything you would suggest for us to follow? And the other question is, if the domain reputation is bad, then how long will it take to recover?
Yeah. To answer Shimoni's question, it takes somewhere around 2 to 4 weeks. Like what we have seen with brands, domain reputation, once it's bad, it takes about 2 to 4 weeks. And if it is low, it takes about 1 to 2 weeks to get back to medium. So that is the ladder that Postmaster provides us with. But these are general guidelines. There can be good exceptions and bad exceptions as well. Yeah. Now, coming to Diksha's question. So, if we'll need to see the root cause of what is causing your domain reputation fall, and like I said, uh, your sending behavior would have been computed over the past few months, like let's say 4 or 5 months or maybe 6 months. And what happens is we need to identify and undo the uh, factor that was causing the spike. There can be subtle factors as well, like let's say your volume was inconsistent. For example, you sent 10,000 today and the next month you didn't send anything in the current month, and you started sending in the next month, which was, let's say, you sent again 50,000. So these can be also factors which cause a fall in domain reputation. There can be issues related to content as well. There can be issues related to email setup as well, like authentication. If your authentication is not set up properly, your SPF, DKIM, and DMARC policy, so it again causes a loss in domain reputation. So to answer your question, Diksha, we'll need to have a look at your metrics in the past 6 months, and then accordingly customize a plan to recover your domain. Segmentation, like you said, did not work. I understand that, but segmentation is one of the most proven ways to, build and recover your domain reputation. There are other steps as well, like frequency capping and, strictly sending to, strictly not including the never engage segment, like I said. Also, having your list checked from an external provider could be very crucial. Like, let's say if you're getting your list checked from mail tester, or let's say if you're doing an placement test using Litmus. So these are the tools that can also help us understand problems at the depth. And like I said, you will need to get a good hold of your matrices from last 6 months, and then accordingly do permutation combination to arrive at a plan for your domain recovery. Right. Okay.
So the next question is, for a functional apparel brand, how many campaigns can we send within a day on WhatsApp and email? Like how many number of customers?
Okay. So there is no specific limit as such. For email, like I said, there are some prerequisites. So let's say if you want to send 1 lakh customers today, you would have had sent that many customers in the past. Like you would have slowly built up from your warm up phase to the ramp up phase to the scale up phase. So there are 3 phases that is normally used in email industry. And once you have done all those checks properly, and your domain reputation and key matrices have not fallen, you can definitely send as many emails as you want, provided you are taking a step back and looking at the matrices. So on email, there's no such bar. For WhatsApp, again, WhatsApp has started regulating the ecosystem very recently, like about a year or so. And WhatsApp again has does not have any such regulations. We had a client who sent 2.3 lakh messages in a single day on WhatsApp, and they had a very good delivery rate on WhatsApp. So it does not matter. What matters is your template, your segmentation strategy, and there are other variables which we need to consider. So yeah, in short, there are no such limit for both WhatsApp and email.
Okay. There is one more question that is for email warm-up activity. How many emails do you recommend sending to a segment of 500?
I didn't get that. How?
So it's a question from Aditi that is for email warm-up activity. How many emails do you recommend sending to a segment of 500?
So if your segment is of 500, I mean, there's no definite answer for this. You can maybe repeat once or twice. But if I understand your question correctly, once you have used, especially in your warm-up plan, once you have used that 500 emails, you should probably move to the next set of customers. There should be very minimum overlap when you are doing the initial warm-up.
Any further questions? Aditi, I hope that answers your question, by the way.
Um, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, Aditya, you're audible.
Yeah. Actually, I'm just trying to understand when you say warm up, right? So I thought it is going to be like a flow where you create a cohort of say 500 people, your most engaged, let's say people who have read more than 5 times or something of that sort, and then you send emails to them in the hopes that they reply to you or they click on that email. Since these are your most engaged customers, they would do these activities, which in turn would highlight your domain ki, okay, these are the most engaged people, so now green light these set of people, like then it'll score your domain well. So my question was ki, like what, like because it is warm up, are you supposed to send them multiple times or just once or
Right. Yeah, Aditi, got your question. So we can, once we start increasing the window, right? So it depends a lot on your frequency capping. So let's say if ideally we would recommend in your warm-up phase, you send your frequency capping to two per week. So which is like
Mhm.
you can send them twice in a week in your warm-up plan. So let's say day one you send them, maybe you can include them in day two, but not on day three. So that is the expected behavior. If you have frequency capping enabled, it gets automatically taken care of. As you are expanding the window, you wouldn't want to send the same email to the same customers. So that is the idea behind it. So just increase your window, lower the count, and the segment should automatically take new customers, which should then help you with the warm up plan.
Got it. So you don't necessarily need to create a flow for these people. You just send a campaign uh, manually to those 500 set of people.
Right, but you need to be very specific with your, segmentation plan. So
Got
like,
it.
if you can, create a dedicated plan, like on day one, I'll send read 5 times, clicked 2 times. Day two, I will
Hmm.
do read 4 times and then clicked 1 time. And then day three, I will increase my window. Just giving you a very rough example. So that is how the volume should work, the segment should work. And then you should have a check on the volume as well, that it is not being like a spike of 100% or maybe greater than 50%.
Got it. Got it.
These
Thank you. That
these two are
helps.
the most important things that we should consider.
Noted.
And if you have frequency capping set, then it will not send the same mail to the same customer. It is advised that since you are in warm up, you can send it maybe twice, or if you think thrice is also helping, then of course, yes. But it is recommended that you set it to twice only per week. And then maybe next week again, you can target them.
We will shortly share a video of this webinar on YouTube. Stay tuned for that. And we'll also share the invite to the next installment of this webinar as well. So please stay tuned. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time and attending this webinar. We hope to see you all on the next one. Until then, take care.